Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my second channel, Hannah Needs to Yell. And today I need to yell about Gabbie Hanna going officially offline entirely. Just as a note, I started filming this video yesterday and then the camera died while I was filming and I didn't realize. So I'm going to start with footage from yesterday when I had straightened hair and different makeup, and then we're going to come back here to finish the video out. So let's jump back to the beginning of the video yesterday. Gabbie Hanna. There's been a lot going on surrounding Gabbie Hanna for the past few months to a year and a half. I've been learning more and more about it and wanting to talk more about what's happening with her, but also at the same time, it's so much that, like, because I haven't been covering it from the beginning, it is just so much information to talk about. I'm like too late. I'm too late to the game. There's so many great channels out there if you want to find out more about what's going on with Gabbie Hanna. I recommend Hello Leash and Fat Sajak. Those are two that just come off the top of my head related to these things. Gabbie Hanna has just been doing a lot for the past year to year and a half now. She's been doing this series over the past couple weeks, making videos about all the ways that she was wronged and defending herself in what seems like her goodbye to the internet and to being a YouTuber at least. People were noticing there was about a week, or 2 weeks really, of her not posting more of her series after she had posted like, I don't know, like 7? Like a bunch of videos daily in a row. So people were wondering, where's Gabbie Hanna? When she's coming back? We want to see the rest of this series that she's been hyping up for months. As a way of promoting the series, she was just online mentally abusing a bunch of people. So let's see this fucking series. What's so good about it that it's worth doing all that shit to people?
Finally, on July 19th, Gabbie broke her silence and uploaded a music video titled Sorry I'm Late. As of now, the likes and comments are disabled, but I don't know if they were at time of publishing.
Basically, people weren't responding to the series as well as Gabbie had imagined that they would, I think. I think that's why she made this video. The video itself is an interesting song. Like, I don't have anything against the song itself. I think it's cute. The description underneath the video is what I really want to talk about, though, because she actually has a few salient points in here. I'm going to read through this kind of quick, and I'm just going to focus on the real salient points that she has here. There's a lot to respond to. There's a lot of hypocrisy in here, and there's a lot of not self-awareness in here, but I'm just going to focus on where she is self-aware and point those things out. Gabbie writes, I felt my mental health being compromised, so I took a step back to be a person, touch some grass, pet my cats, see my friends, write some music, paint mostly. I knew coming into this that it would be difficult, but I wasn't able to handle it the way I thought I was. That's a salient point. She's not good at handling criticism. That's good that she said that. This series is and has always been about healing, so if it gets to a place where it's no longer serving that purpose, I'm not going to push myself in a direction that's hurting more than it's helping. This series is not about drama. It's about my life and processing trauma. Unfortunately, a lot of that does involve people who consistently wrap me up in drama online. Trust me, I hate it too. We're not gonna talk about it. It's too much. We're not gonna talk about it. This series is simply a documentation of a life not many people experience or see. It was also meant to be a commentary on the constant targeted harassment and exploitation of women in media. I'm holding back. I'm not going to talk about it. It's meant to serve as a tool in shedding light on the very trivialized and misunderstood mental disability ADHD. I have ADHD, so I want you to know as the viewer that I am coming from this from not the same perspective as Gabbie, but I have ADHD in combination with a few other things. I'm medicated for it. So some of her journey I do relate to in that way. In starting this series, I was also just starting treatment. As I was editing, I was able to look back at the situations I was describing and recognize, here we go, recognize how my lack of understanding and treatment exacerbated otherwise trivial situations. That's so important. I'm glad that she said that. I wish that was what she was focusing on in her life. Rather than posting this big long series showing all of what she's saying here, all of the exacerbating of trivial situations because she didn't have treatment and she didn't have medication, maybe what you could do is, once you have started medication, address the problems then, rather than going on a rampage when you're unmedicated, and then once you have medication and you're experiencing the positive benefits, maybe then is when you can address otherwise trivial situations that you exacerbated and made into more than what they needed to be and caused more issues around than what needed to be caused. Maybe, but I'm glad that you made that salient point, because that is a really great sentence to sum up a lot of what's been happening with Gabbie Hanna. She is blaming her bad behavior on her ADHD in this sentence. People have a lot of mixed opinions about that. I, as a person with ADHD, have my own mixed opinions about that. But at least the end result of what she's saying, regardless of why she thinks it happened, at least she can recognize the end result, that she was exacerbating otherwise trivial situations. I began medicating shortly after I finished filming, and it changed my life. Salient, that does happen. I spent so much of my life feeling like an alien on Earth, not understanding why I thought so differently than other people, wondering why things that felt earth-shattering to me felt insignificant to the rest of the world. If someone had sat me down and explained to me that I don't process the world the same as most other people because my brain didn't develop like most other people, I would have spent a lot less time wanting to bleep my bleeping bleep out. This is a topic that is very dear and important to me. Men and women experience ADHD differently. The age at which you recognize and get treatment makes you experience ADHD differently. Very true. This is something about my journey that I recognize. I wasn't diagnosed and didn't start treatment until age 23, at which point I was already out in the workforce, and it was very difficult starting the medication process when I was out in the workforce, because there are emotional impacts and side effects from medications for ADHD. I know that people have a really hard time with Gabbie Hanna's emotions, and I can't speak for her. I can only speak for myself. I felt emotional side effects related to my ADHD meds, and I'm no longer taking those meds anymore, but it was a process. It's a real process figuring it out. It became difficult to maintain my professionalism at certain times because of the medications I was taking,
which had negative impacts on my career path.
When you're recognized at a young age, you're in a much more protected and structured environment, being at school where there is support, there are guidance counselors and psychologists, and you have your parents and your nuclear family, and you have doctors, and you have a lot less worries in your life because you're not out there trying to support yourself. And it's a whole different experience being diagnosed and being treated and developing coping mechanisms as a child versus as an adult when you're on your own and you have to support yourself, and there's just a whole different level of stress. So yes, the age at which you get diagnosed makes you experience ADHD differently, basically. Hi, it's the next day now. I look different, but I wore the same shirt for continuity. So Gabbie writes, the type of ADHD, inattentive, hyperactive, combined type, makes you experience ADHD differently. True. Comorbidities and past trauma make you experience ADHD differently. True. The way you were raised makes you experience ADHD differently. Yep. The level of severity makes you experience ADHD differently. Yes. No one is denying any of these things, by the way, but whatever, yes. To say someone's disability doesn't affect them in a certain way because it doesn't affect you a certain way is incredibly ableist. I do just want to point out, the ADA does classify ADHD as a disability. It is not like a mood disorder. It is in a different class, and there's a reason for that. So I just would advise, people who don't have ADHD, who are talking about this situation with ADHD, just keep that in mind. It is a disability for a reason. A lot of people with opinions on my series haven't watched it. They watched videos talking about me without asking the time to listen to me. I think she means without taking the time to listen to me. It sucks, but it's life. This series is my art. It's meant to be consumed in its entirety, not in bits and pieces. Let me just mention that a lot of the videos that I've seen have been people doing reaction style. Like they play the whole video of Gabbie's and they pause, say something in reaction, continue playing, pause, say something, etc. So I think that's a valid way to watch Gabbie's video. Because a lot of times those commentators insert context that Gabbie has decided to leave out for whatever reason. Just saying. I created it so I could stop obsessing, and for all intents and purposes it worked. I feel myself healing and moving on. I wanted to tell my side and never speak of it again, and I failed at the beginning by engaging online. Salient. Good point. True. I'm really glad that she has recognized that, at least enough to put it into the description of this video. Surprise! I'm impulsive and defensive. Are you? And this is something that I feel like we don't know the true Gabbie Hanna, and this series does not show us the real Gabbie Hanna according to her, because she's saying here in this description that she started getting proper medication after filming this whole series. So she's looking back at it while she's editing it and seeing herself doing things that it seems maybe now she wouldn't do, that are exacerbating situations and blowing them out of proportion. So when she says, I'm impulsive and defensive, surprise, are you? Or are you saying that your ADHD makes you that way, and then when you have your meds and you have the right meds and they're working for you and your brain is a little more balanced, maybe you are more thoughtful and more compassionate and you're more able to see things from other people's side? I feel like we don't know the real Gabbie Hanna. We know the unmedicated Gabbie Hanna, undiagnosed, unmedicated Gabbie Hanna, and right when we have this chance to get a glimpse of who she might be when her brain is more balanced out is when she's going to leave the internet, apparently. It's just a shame. I think she could have gone about this series in such a different way that was much more helpful in regards to ADHD, explaining how ADHD, as she says here, was making her act differently than how she is now. As I said, I have kind of mixed feelings and mixed emotions when it comes to people blaming their ADHD for their behavior. It's hard. I know I have definitely said in my life that oh, because of my ADHD, I overcommit to things, or I think that I can do things that I can't, and blah, 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 blah. Even though I am medicated and I'm working on my coping skills and stuff, I'm guilty of blaming stuff on my ADHD. So I can't blame Gabbie for doing that. But I can blame her for, if she's editing this series when she is more stable and balanced and medicated and feels good, and she's going about it in a way that gives ADHD a bad name and doesn't talk about maybe the benefits of medication and therapy and coping skills, and saying what she said here in this description in the actual videos, that's something I can hold her accountable for. She I think, with having the platform that she has a responsibility, if she's going to make all of this about her ADHD, to talk about the positives as well. ADHD can be a superpower sometimes, but if you only show people how you're acting when you're in a very emotional state and unmedicated and not going to proper therapy or whatever, not having the right coping skills you need, whatever, then you're turning ADHD into something that it's not. And I would think, as somebody with ADHD, you would not want to just focus on the negatives.
The only reason I can see for Gabbie wanting to further stigmatize ADHD in this way is so that she really can blame absolutely everything she's done wrong on her ADHD and avoid all responsibility by doing so. And listen, I do believe that ADHD has an impact on my behavior as a person with ADHD. However, if I mess up as a result of me letting my ADHD tendencies take control, I still apologize for what I did wrong, and I still look at that mistake and say, okay, what coping mechanism do I need to avoid doing that again? For example, if I overcommit to a bunch of things and end up doing a poor job with all of them as a result, or end up having to cancel something because I overcommitted. I apologize for my poor performance or for having to cancel, and I do what I have to do to avoid making that same mistake in the future because I don't want to let people down again. There is no benefit to making your own disability the bad guy in your life, and therefore painting yourself as a damsel in distress who is the victim of this disability that you have. You're going to have it for the rest of your life. You need to learn how to cope with it and manage it, and that seems to be the place that Gabbie is saying that she is in now that she has medication and therapy, but I don't see her using that mindset and looking through that lens in the way that she edited these videos. So I'm just finding it very confusing and unsure of exactly what she thinks ADHD is, her point of view about it and how it works and how it impacts her life, and more importantly, how she wants the viewer to see it. It's very confusing and very mixed signals.
It makes me wonder how much of the impulsiveness and defensiveness is Gabbie's personality, how much of it is ADHD or the medication, maybe wrong doses or wrong types of medications. Like, what is what? I don't know. And I don't think we're ever going to find out, and that's kind of a shame. That said, she deserves every ounce of cancellation that she's getting right now. There are plenty of other influencers out there with ADHD that you can learn about it from more properly. So, missed opportunity, but it just opens a door for somebody else. So she says, surprise, I'm impulsive and defensive. I'm also a human. I found myself wanting to explain myself again and wanting to combat every new lie. Then I took a step back into the real world, where I'm a pretty happy and chill person. Online, I'm a version of me that I can't really stand. You're choosing to be that way? Okay, that's all. Okay. From here on out, I'm offline entirely. I really hope you enjoy the rest of my series. I put a lot of time and energy into it. It helped me find myself as a person and an artist and pushed me to places I was too scared to go creatively. I'm very excited to share that with you. Smiley face. And then all of her links. So this was posted on July 19th. I started filming this video yesterday on the 25th. Today is the 26th. It's been about a week and there's been no additional videos posted in the series. I'm not even sure if this music video is supposed to be part of the series or if this is a separate thing that she filmed as a like, adios, I'm out of here, you know? But it sounds like if there is more of the series to post, she's gonna post it while she's offline. I'm not really sure. To be honest with you, I kind of hope she doesn't post it because it sounds like all that she has left to post are these episodes about Jessie Smiles. And basically every time she talks about that situation, she only makes herself look worse and worse. I'm really glad that she is taking time off and going offline. If your livelihood is being online and an influencer, a YouTuber, whatever you are, you need to take a break at some point, just like anybody needs to take a break from any job. It can absolutely warp your mind, especially because it's such a 24/7 type of job. Being on social media, because it's so accessible on your phone, it's so easy to just be always there and always working and to not have boundaries between your real life and your like work life, which is also your social life and also kind of part of your real life because your real world family and friends are also there. It's real interwoven in the way that like being a receptionist at a bank is not interwoven with your normal life. So I'm glad that she's taking time off. I think that she clearly needs it. I empathize with the fact that she's going through this ADHD process as an adult because I went through it as an adult. I didn't go through it in the same way that she has because of this large public platform that she's going through it on. But with that being said, I hope that she is not doing what she's saying other people are doing. I hope she is not trivializing it in her own life. And I hope that she is really, really taking it seriously and doing everything that she can to treat it and come up with the right coping mechanisms. And maybe after a few months or a year offline, going through that process, she can start to make the type of salient realizations that she's beginning to make here in this video description, where this is such a small thing, but I'm proud of her for writing. As I was editing, I was able to look back at the situations I was describing and recognize how my lack of understanding and treatment exacerbated otherwise trivial situations. I began medicating shortly after I finished filming and it changed my life. Good. 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 I really hope you continue down that path. Whether it leads you off of social media forever or not, I think that you need it for your own health and mental health. I also honestly think that people can forgive you if you come back and fully own up to your shit. And I think that this looks like the smallest step toward doing it. I just hope that she's more careful with how she talks about ADHD moving forward, because it seems that now she is medicated. And I'm happy to see that it looks like she's looking back through a different lens than she had while she was in those moments. I have the slightest smidgen of hope for Gabbie Hanna due to a few salient things that I'm seeing here in this video description. Let me know what you think though. I don't have my outro really figured out yet, but if you like this video, if you want to join the conversation here in the back alley of the neighborhood of my main community, we call ourselves the neighbors. Please, like the video, subscribe to the channel, set notifications to all that good stuff, and let me know what you think down in the comments. I really want this to be a discussion channel. I really want to talk about this stuff with other people and get other people's perspectives, so leave it all below. All right, thanks for watching. See you in the next one sometime soon. Bye.